G'day, Mike. How you doing, mate?
Oh man, good, good. How are you? How about yourself?
Yep, not too bad. It's a sweet, warm, nice warm Saturday here today. 3 in the hour. You and I are like, this is really sweet because same time zone. You're like
Yeah.
15 minutes drive from my house. This is good. Some people are going to say, "Well, that was a real friendly chat," because you and I know each other pretty well.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
you're actually the first retro, what I would call legit retro gamer I met. I can't remember what through, probably through Instagram. I saw your stuff.
Pretty sure it was. Yep,
Bit of Donkey Kong going around at the time. I'd built myself
yep.
a pie cab and I was trying to work out what the fuss was about. And I think you were like, "Yeah, look at this place called Nether." Oh no, what was it? One Up.
Wow.
And you took me under your wing and showed me a few things, and I pretty much put none of it into practice because I'm bloody hopeless. But yeah, from there on, we've bumped into each other quite a bit, and I've been to your house and
Yeah,
played games, and so
yeah.
yeah, man. So what do you today? You've been doing some gaming?
Yeah, recently, yeah, a little bit, a little bit. Been trying to pick up my Donkey Kong skills because we've got the Kong Off coming up in
Yep,
mid July
yep,
at the BPAC tournament at
yep,
Brewdog. So
yep.
it's not been good.
Yeah.
I can barely crack it. I can barely
Getting
crack
old, mate.
100,000 points anymore.
Getting
I've
old.
lost all my skills.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
a little bit of that when I'm at Netherworld, just trying to seriously put like a credit or two in while I'm there,
yeah.
without trying to be too antisocial.
Yeah, we'll talk
Um,
about a lot of stuff, like a lot of consoling and Game Boys and that. But
yeah,
but I think I would suspect that well over sort of 60% of your gaming these days is on arcade or pinball, right?
yeah,
Majority
it's at
from
the
the arcade. I
arcade.
mean,
Yeah,
you're involved in things like BPAC is the Brisbane Pinball and Arcade, massive comp, almost a convention in ways because it
yeah,
goes over a week or so.
yep,
You're involved.
yep.
Netherworld, we'll talk about a bunch, I guess, is a really awesome pub. We call it a pub here in Australia that has a bunch of machines. And I've
Mm,
spoken about Netherworld. I mean, just sort of take another direction. You're on a,
yeah,
you have a podcast of your own, Played Up
yeah,
podcast
yeah.
with Sean, Dennis, Neil, and Mike. Your Mike. And like those guys are all kind of pumped out of the Mr. Whippy machine at Netherworld. Just Sean's got his face on the wall. He's won the Denizen, which is another
Yeah.
illustrious competition that goes down there. I think if many people around the world knew what comes out of Netherworld, they'd be super jelly
Mm.
because it's bloody unreal, eh?
Yeah, they push so hard to enrich the community of
Yeah,
nerds and
yeah,
gamers and hobby
yeah.
things.
But
It's amazing.
Dungeons and Dragons and heaps of board games
Yeah.
and that one with the where you paint up your Matchbox car and
Oh
that
yeah.
that tabletop game. Like it astounds me what comes out of Netherworld.
It's wild. Yeah,
Yeah,
they've made an absolutely amazing. It's like an oasis.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
how to
And,
explain it. It's
and in the middle of Fortitude Valley, which is really just
yeah.
a massive sort of basin of just people on a Friday, Saturday night, Sunday, early Sunday, Monday morning, just getting smashed, pissed, doing whatever they
Yeah,
do.
yeah, yeah.
Kind of like the worst place I could possibly want to be if I was going to enjoy my evening. And then up in the corner there is like Netherworld, which has been an old pub's been there forever. It's a beautiful building.
Yeah.
And now it's full of arcade games and heaps of red beers and all sorts of stuff like
Yeah,
that. Yeah,
heaps of pinball machines,
heaps of
consoles,
pinballs.
it all,
Yeah,
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 and board games. Don't forget card
yeah,
games.
yeah,
It's
yeah, for sure.
yeah,
So yeah, let's. I think I've spoken to you a little bit about yourself and things like growing up and that, but maybe
Mhm.
because you and I, most of our interaction is probably console stuff. We've knocked around
Yeah,
a
for
bit.
sure.
Like we used to be in the library crew with
Yeah,
Noztech and a few of the other lads, and rock up with some consoles and things like that. And I've
yeah,
been over. What one thing I will
yeah,
say about you, Mike, is you're definitely into your fighters, the kind of like Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat sort of thing.
yeah,
And just
yeah.
recently, when I was over, I bought the Saturn over with the mode installed,
Oh,
and
yeah.
we played something like was it like X-Men versus Street Fighter or something, and
Mhm.
I beat you, and so I'm never no more fighting games against Mike ever because I'm undefeated. I retire undefeated against
Yeah,
Mike.
no, most welcome. Yeah,
You love fighting games, do you? And where do you
I
think
do.
where do you think that started? Because
Yeah,
not every kid had
specifically,
like a Mortal Kombat machine like at their corner
nah,
store. So because you've
nah,
had
nah, nah.
Game Boys when you're young, where do you think the fighting thing started?
Yeah, so it literally started in primary school with mates who had PCs back then, like 286, 386. And we'd seen magazines around at the time, you know, those mid-90s, early 90s, and there's Street Fighter and there's Mortal Kombats and there's like blood and uppercuts and dragon punches and freeze balls coming out of people and spines ripped out. Yeah. So one of the mates at primary school had a brother who was heavy into his computer stuff back then. He was doing programming. He knew all the tricks and how to get the computers to do things and get them to run games and to run pirated games too. But they brought his brother, who was in my year, he brought in Street Fighter 2 for the first time. Right. And it's the first time we'd seen a fighting game.
It's on a PC.
On a PC. Loading off like 3 floppy disks, or like 3 3.25-inch disks. And it ran in slow motion because the computer could not deal with it at all. Oh, perfect. So that was like the first exposure. And then he brought in Mortal Kombat like a year or two later, Mortal Kombat 1. Yeah. Yeah, it was Mortal Kombat 1, because it had the pit in it.
Had you seen these in the arcade around that time as well?
No. Because we were living rural in Western Australia, we had a local fish and chip shop that would sometimes have an arcade game in it. And that even that was specifically more later in the 90s than the early 90s. So we hadn't really seen arcade games back then. Right. I'd seen one at a fish and chip shop near my grandma's place as a young kid, and that was Arkanoid with the analog dial. Yeah, right. But that was the arcade machine that I knew was a video game inside this big wooden box. Yeah. And then, so from those early days of Mortal Kombat it just fascinated me and I loved it. And then as soon as me and my brother started hiring out Mega Drives and Super NESs in the mid to later 90s, we just get Mortal Kombat 2, Mortal Kombat 3, play them. When we bought our PlayStation 1 the first time, Mortal Kombat 3 was one of the first games that I wanted to get with it.
Not Tekken, Tekken 2?
No, that did come later, and I grew an appreciation for Tekken and a different play style, but Mortal Kombat 3 was the start, and I just got so stuck into it, and I just loved the genre, especially Mortal Kombat.
Yeah. I think I've been thinking about something lately that it's something's really dawned on me, like I listen to a few different podcasts, people that do like judo and jiu-jitsu, and I don't like it, but the conversation, there's always like weird sort of silent assassins out there that kind of, it's all about the puzzle. And I think it's the gaming I've started to realize, just listening to people talk. And also you and I are both mountain bikers, and you're trying to string sections together, and you're also a fan of like driving games and driving cars. And it's it's a puzzle. It's like, if you treat any task you're doing like a Rubik's Cube, it's like 3 to the left, 1 to the right, roll back. And for me, mountain biking is the same. It's like link this, gentle, 100%. Just a confidence dab on the brakes, switch the body over here, punch that. And I can fully comprehend or believe that a lot of these fighting games are puzzles, because I don't have the hand-eye coordination to forward roll, 3/4 back roll, 1/4 double kick, punch, roll back kick. And all of a sudden this dude's just like destroying everything on the screen. But I can 100% appreciate, as opposed to the different style, which is like a bullet hell schmart, where you just bang, and you're just sort of guiding your way through the chaos. So I think there's a special mind in there, Mike, someone that just takes fighting games and just says, I'm going to make this work. Because you, like most of the games you pick up, like Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat, that you can complete them, right? It's all a matter of like how quickly.
The Mortal Kombats, and I not very many of them actually. Right. I struggle with Street Fighter with the AI. I still find it really tough. I haven't.
Well, it's pretty cheaty, right? Some people tell me Street Fighter is super cheaty.
Mortal Kombat's the same, right? And I've only actually learned how to manipulate AI in Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, and that's the one that I can speed run to the end. Mortal Kombat 1, Mortal Kombat 2, I still struggle getting past the 4th or 5th enemy. It's just the AI. I haven't learned. I still enjoy getting to that point, and I die. I'm like, oh, sweet, that was a fun game. But speaking of like the puzzle, learning the speed run of Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, that was a puzzle. Exactly. I've never made that link before, like you said. And it's like, it's a puzzle, and it's a reaction game as well. So you need to make a movement, computer will do another movement, you counteract that movement. Yeah. And a little bit like mountain biking, where you're heading down the hill and your eyes see the big rock or the log. Yeah. And you dab the brakes on, you get up close, you get the front wheel up and over or around the side of it, and then you let go of the brakes and get going again. It's
and
a puzzle.
Yeah, and I think when you start breaking a lot of games down like that, like so I'm looking at no one else can see the video, but I can see what's behind you, and everything behind you is everything from a PS3, a couple of PS3s in box, right through Mega Drive, N64, PS1 games. There's a bunch of Game Boys and Atari Lynx. There's a bunch of boxed 2600 games. So you've got quite the spread, and you're quite a player across all the different I was going to say genres, but just different eras as well.
Yeah.
Are you still a sort of person that can still go back and play, like, let's say Asteroids 2600?
Sure.
Does your puzzle brain still switch on? Does it still?
Yeah. When I go back to those games, the puzzle brain isn't really there for them because I don't know them enough to be able to dig right into them. But I do love jumping into the arcade action of them. And some of those 2600 ports have the most perfectly translated arcade gameplay. It's not a perfect arcade port, but the way the game plays is still super fun with the minimalist graphics. Like the physics in Joust, for instance, is I don't know how they program that into this tiny little 8-bit console because the physics are almost identical.
Yeah, it's like a flappy floaty and then just drops like a stone when you want it to, and then you can
it runs and it slows down and stops, or you can make it do the skids as well when you press
the little feet come out and stuff. I'm currently kind of having a good crack at Double Dragon on the original Famicom, so Japanese version.
Oh wow!
And I don't really like. Sorry, Dennis. I don't really like the original Double Dragon in the arcade. I'm more of a Final Fight type guy. I play Double Dragon, and it's like you do an elbow, it's like, and eventually the elbow guy, it feels framey and laggy. It's smooth, but it feels like you're fighting in maple syrup. The Double Dragon on Famicom, again, tiny little cartridge. It's a very different game. It's got a very different task, but it just, because it's simple, it's just like, it just does this, it just does this, it just does this, it just does that so well. And I think you're right when you say there's some games, there's other games that are translated from ports to, Pac-Man, it's always Pac-Man. Is there a bad Pac-Man? Because
on Atari,
oh, really? Is it terrible?
Is bad. It's
right.
It's bad.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? You're right. Those simpler consoles, when they take the right port, they take the essence of the port and they just make it.
Missile Command on Atari, it's just minimalist, but
it still works without the wheel, without the ball.
It's awesome. Yeah. Just your joystick, you're just pointing your little crosshair where you want the missiles to explode.
I wish they bring out like a Missile Command for PSVR. I've just recently moved my PS4 and my VR into my man cave because
cool.
My people hog my TV, or our TV. I shouldn't say it's mine. So I was playing a bit of like Rogue Squadron last night, just to chase some TIE fighters and stuff just here. And I was like, I was like, Missile Command would be rad because you could just kind of like look at it and engage, and
that would be cool.
20 minutes later, eventually throw up, and that's your day. It's fine. Yeah. So all that stuff on your wall there, everything from a Game and Watch right up to Lynx and PS3. Where did console stuff start for you?
Probably primary school again. I think I was in year 4, so I would have been, I don't know, like 8 years old or something.
So that early PC stuff, was that kind of your first exposure to gaming?
It was, for sure. That's a good point. I never thought about that before. That was the first time I saw proper full-size video games outside of the Game & Watch. And looking at that arcade machine at me and my grandma's place. That was my first actual dig into fighting games. And from that point, me and my mates at primary school, for some reason, we were infatuated with this stuff on the screen you could move with a controller.
I saw an ad the other day, an Atari ad, and it was an old Atari ad, and it was like, don't watch TV, play it. And I think that's what was happening to people like yourself and I and anybody else. Is you're used to seeing this screen just feed you, and all of a sudden you can feed something back. And even the concept of Pong is, I'm manipulating, and I can do the puzzle myself. So I think you nailed it. It's like you just get infatuated with the tech and wow and why and where can I get more money to do this more kind of thing when you're grade 4.
True. So I had an NES, was my first console. And I think we had that. I might have been year 5ish even. You had that for I think about a year or two. And then when the parents realised we were sort of not ever getting off it and playing it a little bit too much, that sort of just disappeared. Like,
really?
Sold or given away, yeah. So I would have spent
siblings, right?
Yeah, four older siblings. Yeah.
Oh, wowzers!
So I'm the youngest. I was always chasing the scores that they were getting better than me. Always.
Little Mike, which is ironic because you're about 6'3" or something, aren't you?
Little Mikey, yeah. They still call me Mikey. Like that's
right. Yeah, and so you had the NES and that disappeared, and I think the Game Boy. You've got a Game Boy there, an original DMG. That's a cool story. It's a common story, but it's always the coolest story. Tell us about how you got that.
Yeah, so my brother went to Japan in 1994. We lived in Kyoto.
Right.
My oldest brother, he's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 years older than me.
Right.
So he was in Japan, living, working, hanging out with some dubious characters with modified lowriders and so on. And
sweet.
Came back from Japan and had a Game Boy for me and my brother. So the yellow one there, that was my next one up from me, Brian. Yep. So he got the yellow Donkey Kong Land Game Boy, or the yellow Play It Up Loud Game Boy with Donkey Kong Land.
Yep.
And I got the clear shell Play It Up Loud DMG, and that came with Gallagher Galaxian cartridge.
Right.
And thinking back to it now, that probably was my first console in the term of consoles, since the NES when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And that was soon before. And we, as I said, in that era, we were hiring out Mega Drives and Super Nintendos on weekends. We were never allowed to buy one because the parents are like, we know what you're going to do, kids. Get outside on your bike, do some exercise, a little athletics, just let's burn some energy.
Yeah.
And then the PS1 happened around 1996, 97, and that was the first official console
in the house, in the household.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we had the Commodore 64, but that was a PC.
Takes work.
We used it as a console.
Yeah.
So if it's classed as a console, that was before the PS1.
Yeah.
Days.
Yeah, I had a C64 as well, and the only purpose was to kind of get it to play games. So it was treated like a console. It just took a little bit of work to kind of make the game work, and patience. So did you have a tape drive or a disc?
We had disc, yeah.
Oh, fancy.
A tray full of burnt discs, which just copy discs. Well, back then we had no idea. We just thought there were programs on a floppy disk. We didn't really know there was a thing as pirated games back then. But each disc had like 5 or 10 games on it.
Yeah, good stuff. Are you one of these people that kind of had a youth and then a youth of bit of gaming like we've just sort of talked about now, and then like a big gap where you kind of, there was like girls and beer and uni and stuff, and then later in life you sort of went, I need to go back to the couch, how can I enjoy it? And all of a sudden you remembered all these things, or were you just gaming all the way through?
It was sort of always there, Since having the PS1 in the late 90s, I sort of didn't sell all my games. And then in the early 2000s is when I bought my first Atari 2600 from the Salvos.
Yeah.
And it came in the Atari suitcase.
Oh, I love that thing. I just got to talk about that. That's it's like a blow molder. It's, if anybody's listening, it's like when you buy like a new Ryobi drill and it comes in that plastic kind of like, and the little clips that are pump and it opens up and it just fits in perfectly. Yeah. Oh man. And it's like, I remember when I saw it at your house, I was like, oh, that's sweet. Is that some sort of like recently aftermarket mod thing? And you're like, no, this came out in the day. Like that's the sort of shit you take to
carries all the parts, all the carts. It's got the holes in the top to fit all the switches off the top of the console. If you had the one with still six switches,
so good. I'm really trying to track down a good condition. Like, is it like a 6-switch Woody? But they're just going up and up, and they're just looking worse and worse.
They are hard to get.
There was a couple of about 2 years ago I saw on Gumtree that were just sitting in boxes, and people are like $120, don't even know if it works. And I message them, and they're just like 2 weeks later, they'll be like, oh yeah, I've still got it. And then message them. It's like, man, it's just too hard. And I should have persevered because they probably went to the tip. What a shame, you know?
Yeah. So probably the mid 2000s, I sort of didn't play as much, and I wasn't really collecting as much. I was collecting a few Atari stuff, a bit of Super NES as well as some PS1 stuff that I wanted to recollect that I'd sold, and also new games I heard about and wanted to play. I flipped through my old PlayStation 1 magazines, and I had little tabs on certain pages for games that I wanted to play and try out.
Your original magazines from like you bought on the day of publish.
Yeah, the Australian the official Australian PS1 magazine. I've got I think probably every episode except for one, every release.
Yeah, wicked.
But so back in those mid 2000s, I was flipping through them, checking out the games that I put little tabs, little post-it notes on. Check it out. Have a real good look it up on YouTube a little bit.
I can remember flicking through Commodore magazines when I was like, because I got my Commodore in around probably grade 7, grade 8. So I was like, 13, 14, and everything was cheap, but my mum sort of must have bought it from somewhere with a bunch of discs and tapes, and she's like, that's all you're going to need, mate. Like, don't ask me for anything else. But I remember flipping through like, Pommy Commodore magazines, and it'd be like all these games that are like £3 and £4, per tape. And I'll be like that and that and that and that. And I was never getting none of it, but just to know that, I guess to know it was out there is the biggest thing. It's sort of like sitting on the shore with a pair of binoculars that can see out to sea, and you can see the possibilities, the islands and things like that, and knowing that someday I'll do this on my own, and I won't need mum to pay for all this shit. Do it myself. Kind of thing.
Oh, every time we got a like a product catalog from Kmart or Toys R Us, I'd have it on the table. I'd have the pen out. I'd circle the Super NES. I'd circle the Mega Drive. I'd circle like the Lion King and Aladdin and like Mortal Kombat 2. And I'd sit there and like, Christmas, Dad, Mum, this is what I need. And I'm like, no,
you have to mow some lawns, buddy.
Yeah. And then all my lawn mowing money went into bloody arcades that were close to where I was lawn mowing.
Oh man,
which is a video shop with 2 arcade machines in it. Yeah.
What were the machines? What was on?
An arcade. Yeah.
Do you remember what was on those machines?
That was Mortal Kombat 1 and Midnight Resistance. Yeah.
Right. You own a Midnight Resistance, right?
Yeah. That's
why
I bought it.
Just your ride, isn't it? So how does that machine run these days? Run good?
Yeah, it's not running at the moment. It had issues with graphics about a year ago or 2 years ago.
Right.
It was only displaying the background graphics, so you couldn't see the characters and the little icons at the front of the screen.
That's so odd, hey?
Yeah. So I've pulled the PCB board out and given it to Adam Lee for checking over. He's going to do some maintenance and check it out, see what's wrong with it.
Yeah.
I've got another Midnight Resistance board on the way though via Neil. He's doing a deal with a dude off Facebook who's selling a whole bunch of PCBs.
Sick.
So there should be a new PCB coming soon, which I'm keen to chuck in while Adam is fixing the old one. Yeah.
Sick. Is this a game that you would endeavor? Because there's a bit of a thing in Brisbane with like, and it's probably, I guess, in a lot of different hobbies where there's a few Twin Galaxy records amongst you guys, like
some hardcore gamers,
like Neil's got a Twin Galaxy of all the stupidest games in the world, Ghosts and Goblins, or is it Ghouls and Goblins, whichever ones. They're all
Ghosts and Goblins.
Anything that's good and Goblins, you can ram it. That's pretty special. I mean, Neil also had Wonder Boy, so he was just practicing for Ghosts and Goblins. And you got people like John Tannehill's got Space Invaders and
Dennis and Double Dragon.
Dennis got Double Dragon. I think he's got like a main Double Dragon 2 or things like that. Like there's just it's a really healthy scene in Australia, I think. So have you kind of picked any? I know you've got a tattoo of the Galaga ship, and it's a bit of a thing for you, right? Galaga.
Yeah. Yep.
Slap me when I say it wrong.
No, that's right. You can say it however you like. I used to call it Galaga, and then I called it Galaga, and I stuck with that.
Yeah. So it's one of your things, isn't it, Galaga?
Yeah. It's one of the favorites. With that Game Boy I got in mid-90s from my brother from Japan, had Galaga on
that's where
the
it started.
That got me started. Yeah. And then soon after buying the PS1, getting Tekken 1, and the loading screen was Galaga. I've got into the bonus. It gives you the bonus rounds, and you have the option to hold some buttons at the start. It gives you the double shift for the bonus rounds, so you can clear the bonus rounds.
Yep.
Yeah.
What's that other game? It's a bit like Galaga that I think when I was going to backlight my DMG the first time, I knew it's like Galaga, but it's not Galaga. It's a Game Boy game, a little ship that flies around.
Is it Solar Striker?
Yeah. How good is that? Yeah,
that is.
Have you ever played that in a well lit Game Boy Color?
No,
dude, it's like got a palette. It's wicked. Yeah, stick it in like I don't have to re-get her GBC done. Stick it in her GBC. It's got a color palette. It looks freaking awesome, eh?
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's got like you go, there's ocean. Oh, that's what the background is. So like the section where there's the roads, and it's like, the roads are different. Like it's only like 3 colors, or it's that Game Boy palette. But yeah, that blows me away when you do that. Like there's a game that came out a year or two ago called Diadius or Dedius. It's a
Oh, yeah.
yep. And I played that DMG, and then I stuck in the GBC, and I was like, dude, like it's kind of gory and stuff. It's freaking awesome. Yeah. Would you say, Mike, you're more of a gamer or more of a collector? What do you think?
I 90% used to be a collector.
Right.
Up until maybe 10% of the time, I'd be playing the games that I was collecting.
Yeah.
I was still playing 1 or 2 games here and there, but a lot of the focus was on collecting and building and getting the games I wanted to play, basically. Yeah, getting that collection together, because I want to be able to grab something off the shelf, whack it in, and play it. And that's where the basis of the collection came from.
Yeah.
But yeah, then the last, I'd say, even 10 years, just gaming a lot more, because I've collected most of the ones I wanted to get.
Yeah.
And like, what am I going to do? Spend an hour on eBay scouring and Gumtree and Facebook Marketplace, or I'm going to get a game that I bought that maybe I haven't even tried yet, whack it in the console, just have a game, start enjoying it. Like, it's satisfying to enjoy a game. Very satisfying.
I hear there's people that have got like a Switch or something, and they sit down to play a game, and they end up just spending $12 on the Switch shop, and then complaining that their backlog is so big. It's like, dude, until you need a room to control and contain your backlog, stop being a whinging bitch, because it's just sitting there, right? It's still the size of the Switch. Get over it. So I give it to you, man. Like, you got a lot of stuff, and you play a lot of it, and I see. I know. Go on.
Yeah, if Everdries had been a thing back in the 2000s, this collection would be a lot smaller.
I made a very conscious decision.
You made a good decision.
Yeah, I mean,
that was a smart decision.
Sean gave me for a 6-pack of Henry's this beautiful 29-inch Trinitron, and at that time I had a Pi, and I was able to then take that from HDMI to RCA straight into the CRT, get rid of all the shaders and stuff, and I was like, it's pretty rad. I can feel it. It's warm, and it makes the noises, and it's like just pixels are for reals. And that was kind of what kicked me off. And I made a very conscious decision that I think the first thing I got was a NES, because at the time I was sort of trying to work out Tetris, the ultimate puzzle game. And it sort of started from there. And you know how it is. Everybody knows it. I don't go on about it.
Oh, the Game Boy, your Game Boy collection has just grown beautifully.
Yeah, it's just, I think I got in right when the bubble was just starting to blow up a bit. And now I say it every episode, and you and I and every other person, I've seen people putting up DMGs for like $250. Just like that clear one, or like the black one, original DMG retro gaming, perfect condition. And you look at it and it's not. But I've also seen people paying the other day, only you and I will get this, and any other Australian boy that knows about cars, an SLR 5000 Tirana. This is a 70s Australian muscle car, covered in bird shit, covered in dust, full of poop and crap. Went for $125,000. Sitting there. That's the world we live in.
That's it.
That's the world we live in now. It's not about, it's great. And I think we'll get stripped down and cleaned up. It'll be worth 6 times that. But that's where we're at. People want $200 for a Game Boy that a few years ago. And so that stagnated, and I focused on, was like, like even recently I picked up the Dreamcast, the Saturn. Like, I got really, they're both NTSC-J versions. I had to get the inverter for 100 volts. But they were like under $200 each.
Yeah.
So it's like, I would still rather have one of them. I had to put a mode in them. That's the flash card for them, or the board and everything.
Optical disc emulator. Yeah.
That's correct. And and that leads on to the conversation when I was around your place recently with the Saturn. And
that was amazing.
It's the first time I've really got to enjoy the Saturn, because it is very much a fighty, shooty kind of console. And I can't imagine what it must have been like. What we play like
Sega Rally.
Oh yeah.
That was a highlight for me.
I beat you. And you're never touching my Saturn again.
That was cool. That was cool, that game. Yeah,
it's really good. Really good. So many good. That's the ultimate arcade. Well, throw Sega as the ultimate arcade machine.
Perfect.
Like that. Is it like X-Men versus Capcom or something like that? And it's like, when it fires up, it's like, do you want to face the challenge? all this noise and you can imagine that as a massive screen. Like I know last time I was at One Up, which is the big ass arcade here in Brisbane, and it was like before they'd moved next door and stuff, and there was just a wall of fighters, and and it's just this sort of war of screens and sounds trying to drag you to put your money. Of course, there it's just you press a button because you're paying entry fee, not free play. But you can imagine as a kid or whatever, like, which one wants my 50 cents? What do I do? What's going to last me 30 seconds? What's going to last me 3 minutes? My arcade experience as a child was pretty limited because we lived like yourself out in rural, like I can remember seeing things in fish and chip shops like 1942 and rando games like that, where you and your mate would sort of get 40 cents together and be the last man, and you'd convince him that, dude, I'm going to get past him. Let me do it. And then you just threw it and you'd stuff it up and you'd feel like shit. And next time you get 40 cents, you just try it all over again. Yeah. So do you get to console much at home now, like these days?
I do more often these last 10 or so years. It's something I really enjoy doing. It's usually a solo thing, just in the games room on my own, just whacking a game that I've been working on, or try something new, or jump into something quick and arcadey and fun, or something that I don't have to think too much about. It just depends on how I'm feeling, but I do. It's nice.
So what are you leaning towards this time of year, or just at the moment?
So at the moment, I've been doing a playthrough of Doom 2, which I never finished back in the day.
What platform's that on?
On PS1.
Right.
It's on the Ultimate Doom collection.
Oh, okay.
It's just one disc, but it's got both on.
Right. I've got Doom for PSVR somewhere, and I have not played it. I'm not touching that shit. I'll hurt myself.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, someday.
Yeah. I've been playing through Gran Turismo 2 again. I've found an old save state from back in an old saved game on a memory card from back in the day that me and my brother used to play. So I'm just trying to 100% that. So I'll jump on every now and then, do a race here or there. Because I'm at like 89%, the races I have to do is somewhat ridiculous. I just can't spend the time. So
in reverse sort of thing with 2 years or something stupid.
Yeah. So sometimes I just mess around and just fight around some of the games and try and get the biggest jump on a circuit, or try and crash cars and see what I can do just for fun. And then a little bit of Nintendo DS. And so originally in the toilets, the DS and the DMG. So DMG's got Tetris in at the moment. So I'm back onto level 9, a game type B with the junk everywhere. Yeah, right. So game type B, level 9 speed and 5 high junk. So just jump in there and see if I can get it clear. And that was you organised I think it was end of last year, a Game Boy comp at Netherworld, right? Oh no, Netherworld organised that. Yeah, they put that together. Yep.
Yeah, right. How'd you go?
Not too bad. I didn't make it to the finals, but I had a good hard couple of goes and a few wins at the start.
She's a brutal mistress, Tetris.
Yeah.
I definitely dug in for a bit there. I was playing heaps like Nez, turn the music off, play here, play some music to my left, and just crank away. And I always say it's so good because you can charge in and like start at like level 15 for me is like really valve bouncing off the line. But then you can just roll it back to sort of 6 or 7 and just have a good old time and just enjoy just the puzzle. It's on my mind a lot. Puzzle and flow. I've been listening to all these podcasts about mountain biker coaches and a lot of the stuff they're trying to do, because mountain biking has become, it may have always been, but for me, it's become more relevant because I'm trying to be more efficient. The older I get, I need to learn how to, bikes are better, and I need to learn how to make the bike do the work. I'm a bit of a pussy when it comes to turns. I won't lay it over as much. I don't trust my grip. So I'm the sort of guy where I'll come into the turn a bit slow, and I've got like a pair of rugby quads. So I'll just crank out, and I need to start working out. And so the puzzle is working it out. And, like a lot of these mountain bike coaches are using the word flow, state of flow, which I'd heard on the, that Tetris documentary.
It's a gaming thing for sure as well.
First time I'd heard it, and I think there's a lot to be said about just being in flow, and nothing like sitting on your toilet, just flow state with Tetris.
That's it. Like when I play Gallagher at Netherworld, getting into to that moment where I'm just clearing screens and not having to think. It's weird because all you can see and all you can hear is the screen and your finger tapping on the button. And my mind just closes up to this little world where it's just me and the machine.
That's beautiful.
And it's just it's a flow. It's
So tell us more about Galaga. Like, do you have goals, or are you just reasoning? Have you competed? Do you know where you stand in the world?
Right, yeah.
These sorts of things. Do you have some? Is it one of those games where, like, if you had a good crack at it, you'd never touch it again? Because I know Neil said that about, like, the games that he's cracked. He's like, man, I don't want to sit ever again. You don't want to ruin it.
Interesting. So Neil, when Neil's going for something, he'll do it full on. And for a person with a family and a full-time job, that's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to fit that time in. So he'll get an hour in each night, late night, family's in bed, and he'll do that one game. Yeah. He'll play it for 6 months to a year, 1 hour a night.
Yeah.
And he focuses, he learns every single thing about it, every possible
just the nuances and quirks and things you can do. I mean, there's that whole discussion about point pressing, like in Donkey Kong, you go up and you jump next to him in the girder stage and things like that. What I really was amazed with Neil was, like, to go to the end of a section, but then run back and sort of start spawning all this shit. And it's like, well, that's how you get a score, man, by running back. You got plenty of clock left. Why waste the time?
That's it.
But Gallagher's not like that. The ships come.
Well, I'm not like Neil, so I can't focus on one game. I just can't play one game. I can't dedicate myself to one game.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but even at Netherworld, I haven't played Gallagher for like 2 or 3 months. I enjoy playing it, but also Netherworld's like a bit of a social place, so I don't want to be on a machine for an hour and a half having one game when I'm just bashing away.
And
when someone else could jump on,
buddy, it's time to go. I'm bored.
Yeah. If I'm having a real good game, that sometimes happens. Yeah. But I set myself a score last year to get 1.5 million points.
Right, is that
which
I
managed? Oh yeah. That is about an hour and a half's worth of gameplay, and that was.
Do you know what the top score is as far as a Twin Galaxy or some sort of recorded?
Yeah, it's up in the 20 millions.
Holy Jesus!
And that's a long few hours of gameplay. And again, the guys that get that, they have the Gallagher cab in their house. They'll play it almost every day, and they'll start to learn it, start to feel everything they have to do. They'll record their gameplay, learn what they're doing wrong.
Yeah,
not do those things. Just keep playing and playing and playing.
What can you do wrong in Gallagher? I mean, you get hit by the bullets.
Yeah,
like I mean,
you're in the wrong spot.
Donkey Kong, I've watched. There's a lot of teasing and manipulating and AI and getting barrels to come and pushing barrels down. Like when I saw how you could, like, after those first couple of screens, first couple of levels, you start to kind of just a tap and the barrel comes down. You can line them up and triple jump and stuff. And I was like, what? This is insane. Does Gallagher have this? Can you draw ships over and create space for yourself, or do you just keep shooting and hope for the best?
Yeah. So there's an amount of technique to it, especially when you have a double ship and you're clearing the enemies as they're coming on the screen. So if you can get into the speed of clearing them as they're coming on the screen, so when they start to dive bomb, there's not many up there, or hardly.
So come down in squadrons,
Yeah. So to minimum, that's where the risk is. When there's a whole bunch across the top of the screen and they start to dive bomb, that's where the real risk is, especially later on when there's 8 coming down at once and there's missiles. Missiles can cover the whole bottom of the screen. Yeah. So if you're in the wrong spot at the right time, then
that's what they call accuracy by volume.
Yeah. Just shotgun approach.
Yeah, that's right.
Sure.
Sorry.
But you can draw their fire as well. So if you're on the left-hand side of the screen and there's like 8 coming down, if you slowly make your way to the right, all the missiles are just going to miss you because they're going to shoot the missile to where you are at the exact second. Right. So if one starts flying down, shoot a missile. If you move just to the right, the missile will just skim past you on the left.
Wow. And are you working at like 3 pixels of separation between you and bullets and stuff, or are you just trying to make space?
When I'm in trouble, yes. When there's like 2 or 3 missiles coming down at once and I can just squeeze between them, and there's maybe a little gap and I can see a little gap just to squeeze through, that's when that happens. But it's generally not on purpose. That's when I'm struggling and panicking and I'm like, I hope I make this movement, and it just sort of skims past through the pixels. I can't do that on purpose at all. Because ideally, you should be clearing the screen before they come on and not be in that predicament to start with.
Wiping them out when they kind of first enter the screen, sort of thing.
Yeah.
There was something that kind of occurred to me, which has probably occurred to every other person, 30 odd years ago, when I started playing a bunch of 942 and it's like 43 and 45 strikers, and they can get really, really fun and really demanding really quickly. And I used to be this kind, and I'm by far not a good shmup player, but it's fun. And it can be a quick blat away at stuff. But I used to be a real just keep moving and just keep shooting. But actually, sometimes if you just sit and let them do their shooting and then adjust and let them do their shooting and adjust, sometimes you'd start to find a little more space than you would have than just randomly. Because like you say, as you're moving around, they're like shooting at you. The beauty of 942 is you've got backwards and forwards. The thing about Galaga is that you've only got left and right, so you don't have that quick lunge forward before that gap between two bullets gets so tight you're done for. Yeah. So 1.5 million. Is Galaga the sort of game where I call it something different every time? Galaga doesn't matter. Tomato, right? Is Galaga one of those games where, I think some people say Donkey Kong is it's intense up to a certain point, but then it just starts kind of looping, and then it becomes more of a endurance event. So is Galaga like that, where they just sort of ramp up, and around level 15 you're like, okay, this is the best they've got. Now I just have to keep taking the hits to the face and out fight them.
I'm not 100% sure, but it feels like at the end of level 31, when you've gone through all the rounds and the final bonus stage. I think you're like 8 or 9 bonus stages. I should know this stuff. When you get to the last bonus stage, it does loop back to level 1.
Right.
But the enemies are more aggressive and they still throw down more missiles. So I think that's where the difficulty hits its peak. Right. And if you can keep playing past there, then to me, that's what it feels like. That's where its max difficulty is. It might not be yet.
How many loops have you done?
Oh, God. I think I made it to level 112 or something like that when I got my 1.6 million. Yeah.
Right. And that third loop, did you feel like it's hard to tell, because that's like 60 minutes of like frantic bashing and lefting and righting, and you kind of like, is the game getting harder, or am I slowly losing fuses in my brain?
It is hard to concentrate that long with that amount of intensity, especially when you're not used to that. Because I don't reach that difficulty level hardly ever. I'll play one of those games every few months even. But when you get there, it is a bit panicky, especially when you start to lose, when the wheels come off a bit, when you lose if you have the doubles, you lose a single ship. Going back to a double ship is very hard and very risky.
To
start with, you can't kill as many of them as are coming on the screen. And then you have to be careful not to shoot the big guys at the top, because you need 2 of those or more to be able to get the tractor beam to come down to pick you up. And so it becomes pretty panicky.
I remember last time, so we had Kong off last year. I wasn't able to attend. And the last one before that was at the Showgrounds at the Ekka.
2019,
and during that was that lad that tried to break the snake record.
Oh, Nibbler,
Nibbler, that's it. And I was just
Michael Kibbe.
Michael Kibbe. And I remember like seeing it set up on the stage, and I'm like trying to sort of get the facts. So tonight, this dude is going to stand there he's expecting to be there for around about 36 hours or something stupid. And so I went home and I watched the live stream a bit. And I think John Tannehill and someone else was sort of like just watching the chat, and just, you could see his chart, and it'd be like, he'd build up all these extra men and then just kind of go off and have a wee and get some fresh air, and just the snake could just go "Rrr, rrr," and just nuke itself like 30 times. You don't have that. And even with Neil, like, he could get to the end of a Ghosts and Goblins stage, and if he chooses to, he's got 40 seconds. He's like, right, I'm just going to stop, going to take a swig of my beer. I'm just going to roll my shoulders. And I bet Gallagher doesn't give you that opportunity.
Well, it does. You can park your ship if you...
Right.
Yeah. So there's a way, if you leave one of the enemies, as they're coming on the screen, if you leave one of the enemies on the right-hand side, far right or far left, you can park your ships on the opposite side. If everything else is dead, there's just one enemy. You can park your ship on the right. So yeah, top left enemy, bottom right, you can sit there. They'll fly down. Their missiles will constantly miss you because they can't reach. The missiles won't reach all the way across the screen. So you can have a break. And I think in the world, I'm pretty sure in the world records, you can have a 10-minute break doing that if you want to.
What, like cumulative or like?
No, just like one break for 10 minutes, just every now and then through the game. If you need those breaks, yeah.
Okay.
You can wait. You wait for 10 minutes, go have a meal, have a pee, have a drink, come back, and then start playing again.
And you can successfully do that.
No. Because by the time I get to those levels, I'm still in like survival mode.
You just want to kill everything.
Yeah. So as they're coming on the screen, I'm just like kill. And then I don't know, I've just never had the chance to play it that long, I guess.
It would have to be the one that formed up initially in that top right-hand corner, right? Because when they come back, they kind of go back to their little spot.
Yeah.
And then they wait for their mate to have a crack, and then they launch at you. Yeah. So you need to leave that one. Even when he swoops and stuff, you've got to go. No,
with all his buddies.
Yeah, with all his buddies, you got to say, I'll take you two, but you got to hang around because I need to have a wee later.
Yeah.
Oh, man. That's a lot of thinking. That's insane. Yeah. What do you know what the duration of that like 20 million game is? Like,
I don't. No. It would be
got to be like
a good few.
Got to be like 12 to 14 hours or something, right? I mean, maybe the score is exponential because an hour and a half, 1.5. But then you look at Donkey Kong, like people say, once you sort of crack that 100K, you're in the zone where, the multipliers for scoring, for just jumping a barrel becomes higher and higher. And it just starts to kind of ramp a bit. So maybe by the time you do 4 loops, like maybe it doesn't take hours and hours to get the same.
No, in Donkey Kong, the scores stay the same. They don't ramp up at all during gameplay. Yep.
Oh,
yeah. The barrels and the 5. That's all right. Yeah, the barrels and fireflies, as you kill them, give you a random score of like 300, 500, or 800.
Right.
And that's just it's random. So you hit one, you might get 300. You hit another one, you might get 300 again. You hit another one, you get 800 points.
So much RNG in that game.
It's wild,
yeah. So what's your PB on Donkey Kong?
469,000.
Wow.
Which was a B pack last year.
Wow.
At the Kong off in qualifying.
Yeah, that's bonkers. So you competed?
Yeah.
How'd you go? Top 8?
I think I made it top 16.
Yep.
I don't think I made it too much past that because I think I was just in 16th or 15th with Neil, I believe.
Yeah.
Or with Dennis, maybe we were really even.
Oh,
But
inter-team rivalry, bit of I don't know. Just pick 2 Formula 1 drivers in the same team and they're like jostling each other through the pit. That's unreal.
Yeah. I did a lot of spectating after I got knocked out fairly early on in that comp, which was it was great.
Yeah,
to see the guys play, kick back and have a beer and watch them play, and hang out with the guys.
You've done your part,
and girls.
Yeah. Your Mrs. Ree, she's a gamer too. Hey, that must be great.
She is, yeah.
What is sort of Ree's? What gets Ree going? Like, what do you guys play together? No, you guys are Worms family, Worms fans.
Yeah.
Is that a Ree thing as well?
Yeah, well, not so much. I introduced her to Worms. And so
that sounds so disgusting, isn't it? Like, here, lick my dog. You're now introduced to Worms. Yeah.
Because I know the game so well, I can't.
I can't play it.
I can't play it. I'll just destroy it every time.
I've tried on so many different platforms. Like I remember playing it like on Amiga. You just get your mouse and you just make the thing and you do your trajectory and you work it out. I bought it recently for DS from an op shop for like $3. I was like, I don't know if this is a good game or not, but for $3, I think that's worth putting on my shelf.
Not bad. Yeah.
And like I tried to play it and I was like, I'm here, and the thing fires something, and then another dude fires something. I was like, this can't be this hard. I'm such an idiot.
You've got to know all the weapons and how to get around the map and everything. It's a whole. Right. It's a big game you have to learn.
Yeah. So go on.
Oh yeah, in some of the later 90s, 2000s Worms games, they do tutorials at the start and they actually teach you how to use each weapon via a different firing range sort of thing, different setup level.
I think I
super handy.
Downloaded the version for PS3 a year or two ago, which was different. It was almost more like a platformer, I think. I want to say.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, I can play this. This is the best Worms ever. So what sort of gaming do you get to do with Ree?
Yeah, so the Switch, she's got a Nintendo Switch out in a lounge room, and that comes out a lot when we're playing together. So we probably started off playing Tetris 99 together on Switch, like that. That took over our lives.
Or just the one Switch?
No, just Ree's one. Yeah. So Tetris 99, we haven't played it for a while. We were talking about it last night. We should get it out and get it going. That led on to Fall Guys, which was so great in those first few seasons. Free to play, just silly fun.
I know. My daughter and I played a bit in that first season too, and it was just so frantically fun and frustrating. Like I'm not one to throw a controller. We're playing on PS4. I'm not one to throw a controller, but by God. It'd be this dude standing there at the end, just like all he's doing is trying to push you over.
Trying to grab
5 minutes of the line. I was like, dude, I've burnt everything to get you. Get out of my way. And he's like, some 12-year-old in other countries like, I'm going to ruin your day.
Yeah,
right. What else?
We did a lot of that. Did the Mario 35th anniversary on Switch.
Right.
Mario 35, where you have like 35 Mario players and you all play. I think, you played Mario. It's like a version of the first level of the first Mario Brothers.
Right.
And you play through that and build up scores and try and knock out other people and try and send junk to other people so their levels become all crazy and full of enemies and stuff they can't get past.
So it's like split screeny or something, is it? Or?
Yeah, it's a lot like Tetris 99, where you have your central screen and you have all the other 35 people around you on the sides. Yeah. So that was cool. Didn't last as long as Tetris 99 for us, so had a good couple of months on that. And then we got the Super Nintendo classics on the Switch.
Yeah.
And that was we've been playing what is it?
Does Ree ever come into the cave there? Oh, sorry, go on.
No, hardly ever. Yeah.
It's too nerdy. Too much of a boy room.
Yeah, she's got her own. Yeah, she's got her own games out there too.
And she's like, "You go. I get the TV to myself." And you do have a freaking big TV. There is no doubt about that. Your TV is monstrous. I have walls the size of your TV, dude.
It's all right. It's only a 70. I think it's 75.
Oh my God, it's only a
65. Oh, okay,
170 something at least.
Yeah. And Puzzle to Pong, which is one we found on the Super Nintendo classics on the Switch. It is an amazing puzzle game where you're just switching tiles left and right.
Right.
It's so you have it starts off with tiles on the screen. You have to match the tiles. You have to switch them around. So it's a little bit like Bejeweled in a way. Right. A lot tougher because you have to move them across and get straight down lines or straight across lines, and that's the only way that will clear your little coloured blocks there. Yeah, and it's very addictive.
Yeah, that reminds me of shout out to Johnny. And I had Johnny over here one night. Johnny's gone back to Scandinavia, wherever he's from over there.
Denmark.
Denmark. It's easy if you just say Scandinavia because it's all very similar. I had him over here. We were playing something, maybe a bit of snares or something. And I think he'd never played clacks before. And that's the one where they all rolled down. Or he had played it, but he hadn't played it much. And I was like, oh, well, look, I'm kind of, because you know me, I'll come over and play, but about 90 minutes of gaming, and I'm pretty toast. I'm happy just to sit back, and if I brought the console, I'm happy just to see it used. And I have an EverDrive with millions of the games on it. Like, let it rip, mate. Let's see what you got. And within about 3 minutes, he was just playing clacks and just trashing it. And like, so Johnny's got he's been a denizen, he's got his picture on the wall there. He's just one of those human beings that you give him a game, and whether it's a good game or not, he'll kind of work it out, and then he'll decide whether it's worth his time. Just people like that, they really shit me.
He plays with such an intensity that he's so much motivation for himself to destroy the game, and he focuses so hard. It's amazing. I've never seen someone play like Johnny does, especially with a new game. It's mind blowing. He'll pick it up and just get it and just start smashing it and smashing it and smashing it.
Yeah, I mean, his enthusiasm when Neil was just about to get the Ghosts and Goblins record, and he was standing there, and John Tannehill's standing there, and Johnny's like covering his mouth, and John's just like, dude, come away, grabbed him by his shoulders like some crazy drunk man, come and stand away from Neil and let this finish. And then look, I just lost it. Neil had a couple of cracks at it, and you know, like it'd be easy enough to kind of go, maybe next year, maybe I'll get my life back and then come back and do this. But yeah, Johnny Bond, you're a legend out there, out there somewhere now.
The gaming community of Brisbane misses Johnny a lot.
Absolutely,
he was a big part of it.
Absolutely. Gaming isn't your only thing. I think when I met you were sort of dabbling, and I guess it's like you're more than dabbling now. You tell us about your cold brew coffee thing that you're into.
Oh yeah. So I've been the last couple of years years before that, me and Ree used to run a little market stall sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I had a little espresso machine. I was making like iced coffees, and Ree was doing the cakes and treats.
Yeah. Oh, Bree's. Every time I go to your house, Bree's baking, and I'm like, okay, what's going? You come in and smell there's like batter everywhere. Oh, what a place! And you're a skinny bitch. I don't know how you do it.
It's COVID belly's catching up with me.
Eat this, try that. Oh, do I have to? Yes, you do. Keep going.
So the market stall didn't go too well, and then COVID came along towards the end of it, and it sort of killed markets. And we had some bad luck market runs as well. We just couldn't get the right place and the continual single
foot
market stall
and stuff.
Yeah. So we gave that away in the end, and I gave away the espresso making as well, because my espresso machine just wasn't pumping out the same quality every time,
right?
And that frustrated me so badly. And I was like, I'm getting rid of this. I'm trying to say I've got a little cold drip setup. Right. So like the ice water drips onto the ground coffee, it seeps through the ground coffee and comes out as like a rich dark coffee extract.
Yeah, right.
Which is basically an espresso replacement.
Right.
And so we've been drinking that for the last probably 2 years, I'd say, since we got rid of the espresso machine.
Just at home.
And just at home.
Yeah.
And so we were like, we do want to bring the market stall back to some kind of, because when we started market stall, we're like, it's going to evolve. If it doesn't work, it'll evolve. So then it evolved into the cold drip coffee. We're like, this stuff's good. It lasts for ages. You can take it all around the place. It doesn't have to be refrigerated. You can take it anywhere you want. You can. Right. It's so you just mix it with your milk and here's your delicious coffee.
Yeah.
So then we were like, why don't we just turn that into a business? So I got my first 3-litre cold drip set up on top of the little 600ml guy.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen your stuff in your house. Like, it was a while back since I saw like your first one, but it looks like some sort of 1950s science experiment. It's got like a beaker into a glass thing with a swirly tube and another thing and another thing. I was like, are you like creating aliens in that thing or something? It's unreal,
When people see it, they're like, are you like the Breaking Bad making some sort of drugs? Yeah. I'm like, I'm making drugs in here, but it's just caffeine.
It's legal. Yeah, that's right.
So I got the big 3-litre guy running, got the method and the process right for making, because it's a very specific. You have to have the right coffee beans, the right grind size, the right preparation to get it started, and the right temperatures for everything to keep the coffee grinds cool enough because you're grinding over and over to fill 500 grams worth of beans into a single cylinder. That's a lot of grinding. And my grinder is still a steel burr grinder, so it heats up. So I've got to like have a 5-minute break between each 15-second grind.
Right.
And so you get that into the vessel, keep it all damp the whole way, do it layering it up with the next batch, dampen it, next batch, dampen it, next batch. So an hour and a bit later, and you're ready to start. You don't just tip a bucket of like ground stuff in and just run some cold water from the top. Not that easy. It's a full process. Yeah. Right. So I built up those processes, and then I started seeing if friends and family wanted to buy it just to give it a shot as like a hobby. Yeah,
cover your costs a little bit and things like that.
Yeah. And I was making, because I had a 3-litre setup, I was making way more than we could drink in a week or two.
Oh Lord, how we tried.
Started trials, just sending it around Australia to mates, and just like, $20 a bottle, $25 a bottle. Yeah. Get back some of the costs of what I'm doing, spending on the beans and the equipment, and then we're like, it's actually working. This is good. So then we re-kicked off the food business license in March this year, and got all the branding sorted out, all the bottle labels, all the insurances, food health and safety program plan.
Yep.
And started making it to sell it commercially to the public, and that's where we are now, selling a couple of litres a week, and just rolling along.
So it's dark matter, DRK space MTR.
Yeah.
Is that correct? That's awesome.
That's right. Yeah.
Dark matter. And I think recently you actually got to a point where you're hiring a little space, like in a semi-commercial kitchen.
Yeah, that's it. So to be able to sell food in Brisbane, you have to have a food business license from the Brisbane City Council.
Right.
And you have to do your coffee and your bottling inside a commercial kitchen to be able to sell it to the public under the name of the business, as an official product to sell to anyone.
So what's this like? I guess I think of those like office spaces where you and I are entrepreneurs and we just need a table and some internet access, 4 hours every second Thursday. So it's a similar situation where it's a big stainless kitchen with a corner and some equipment, and
it's a full-size commercial kitchen, even bigger than you would find in a regular restaurant behind the kitchen door of a restaurant.
Right.
It's got heaps of layout space, sinks, basins, everything's stainless steel. The floors, like, the hardcore lino.
You could hose it down.
Grippy. Exactly. Yeah, you have to mop it every run, every time you've been in the kitchen.
Right. That's pretty cool. So it's like
awesome.
It must be a worthy or like an affordable overhead, because it's not free, right? But
that's right.
That's pretty cool. And is it like, are you ready to leave your day job yet?
No way. No. So still working full time. So it does get a bit hectic working full time, doing coffee at night, bottling and everything during like weekends. And it's
right.
It's fun and really. It's hard work, but like the final product, getting to sell a bottle to someone is just such a nice feeling when this bottle's going to go. They're going to take it. They're going to enjoy it for a week or two and have their coffee, and they're going to save them a load of money on buying coffee.
And they're going to buy another liter off me.
Fingers crossed,
Yeah. And so how does it go from because are you still actually doing the cold dripping in your kitchen at home?
Oh, no. So that's done at the kitchen as well. Yeah.
Right. So what, do you have to go and sit there and watch it for 3 hours, or how does
just got to check in on it every day or two. Yeah.
So is that space that you're hiring, is that your space? No one else goes there?
Yeah, there's like a section of worktop. Yeah.
Oh, did you get nervous the first few times when you kind of like, I'm going to set this up? Hopefully some crazy like cupcake dude is going to come in and knock it over, and I come back and
that's it.
Everywhere.
It's in a nice little corner, and it's like just cling wrapped from top to bottom as soon as it's running. Yeah.
Right.
So it's all contained, all hygienically sealed up, ready to go. Just get going. Yeah.
And you come back and there's just this big pot of brown gooey awesomeness in the bottom.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. How does the because it's called cold drip, is the water going in cold? And if it is, how do you keep the cold? Do you kind of like, do you top it up and then just sort of seeps through? Or is it like actually kind of slowly like tipping into it, or how does that work?
Yes. So at the start, it's iced water. So water and a whole bunch of ice goes in as well.
On top of the grounds?
Yeah, so there's like a separate vessel above the grounds. Yeah,
right.
A separate vessel sits up there, and that holds all the water and the ice.
Yeah,
and then there's a little dripper valve at the very bottom of that, and that's where you set the drip, and that drip slowly hits onto the ground coffee and starts seeping through.
Yeah. Oh, cool. I will put your Instagram up in the show notes and stuff, and so there's a bunch of info in there and a few pictures that maybe clarify it for those
for sure
that are more interested. It's funny, I know at one point in my career we were in a place where we were making ginger beer, alcoholic ginger beer, and we're using these like 20-liter plastic jerry cans and these like sketchy one-way valves that someone got from a vet. And they were kind of behind a wall because we weren't really supposed to have them there. And it was like really interesting to take this like can of stuff you get from Woolies and put it in with water and yeast and some stuff. And then sort of like a few weeks later, out come this stuff, and it didn't always taste great. But that, I was listening to a podcast just yesterday about a guy that does like, he works with veterans. This is in the US. And one of the things they do is he says, come along, and they do like a 1 week thing where they make a knife from scratch, from metal. And then they make a meal with the knife. But to take a chunk of anything and then transform that into a tool and then produce with the tool, like I think there's a lot to be said for cooking and preparing, and that we miss, like, growing up, even as a teenager, I pretty much made all my food. Most of it was just like pasta and, veggies and cooked sausages and stuff. But even these days, I do a lot of microwaving of foods. I'm just at the point in my life where I can't make a lasagna that good in 3.5 minutes. I can't make onion rings in 7 minutes in an air fryer. You know, that thing kills. So whenever I meet someone that has that ability and that desire and that persistence to take said ingredient, said equipment, and then punch out something that is freaking delicious and makes a bunch of people happy, hats off to you, mate, because that's like making music, right? It's like being an artist.
I guess so.
It's like someone else is now enjoying what you've given them. And how do you go with consistency? Like, are you buying the one bean from the one guy only on the second Tuesday of the month when the moon's at a certain point? How do you do that?
Yeah, it took a long time to get the right coffee beans. It was easily maybe even up to a year of trial and error.
Right.
Different beans, different grind sizes, different amounts of water.
Yeah.
Different drip speed.
Wow.
And the beans was the hardest one. We just went from bean to bean to beans. And eventually ended up with Toby's Estate Woolloomooloo blend, which is what is a really good espresso blend.
Yeah. And
we're using that for a good probably 6 months, I'd say.
Yeah.
It wasn't the cheapest to get, up to $47.50 for a kilo.
Right.
And then a few.
How many litres would you get out of a kilo if things are going right?
Yeah, right. So a kilo makes about 4.2. Yeah, about 4.8 litres.
Right.
Oh,
right.
Nearly 5 litres, from a kilo of beans.
Yeah. That's unreal.
Which is awesome. And the consistency now, just because we've worked with the new beans that we've got some new beans a few last year from Coffee Works. We were having a holiday in Port Gregory. Thought we'd go and check out what life is like up in the North Queenslands.
Yeah.
And found some little shop that had like chocolates and coffee and other like boutique-y foodie things. And we're like, oh, some coffee beans from a local place from Coffee Works. They're in Mareeba in Queensland.
Yeah.
And there was a brand of coffee and they had some cool names.
Yeah.
And one was Defibrillator. It's
right.
Like defibrillator.
Like a defibrillator. Yeah. Wicked.
So so like, that's funny. We had a smell of beans, brought them home. First go, amazing stuff. Way better than Toby's Estate Woolloomooloo blend. And we were like, we were set. And that was the beans we've been getting. We used 3 bags in about a week or two. Just order 2 or 3 more bags. They come within 3 or 4 days. It's
awesome.
It's really good, and the quality is just and they're consistent quality.
Yeah,
just like the Toby's Estate were consistent. These ones are consistent, making the same grind, same drip speed, same process setting up.
And there's no real variation, right? You're just kind of fine tuning and tweaking. There's no sort of you don't do like with a twist of cotton candy or bacon pieces or anything crazy. It's just just trying to get it smooth and delicious.
And that sort of stuff is what the customer can do with it. They can make whatever they want with this stuff.
Does recook with your drip?
She's just started making stuff this week. So she did banana bread with cold drip.
Yeah, that's going to slide right into the market, right? So it's like don't just drink it, you can eat it. And they go totally bonkers.
That's it. And she's going to be trying some coffee mocha mousse, like a custody mousse for profiteroles. She's going to make some of that today and tomorrow. And she just started because we just had just last week we had some leftovers which were not drinkable. So it was I make a that's right. So I'll make a big batch and I'll make a small batch and I'll mix the percentages of the small batch with the percentage of the big batch to make this nice level, beautiful tasting extract.
Right.
So we had a lot of big batch left over from some time. I had no small batch to mix with it. So that just became like a ingredient to use for something. So we're like, what are we going to do?
So why do you have a big batch? Cooking. What's the difference between your big batch and your small batch? Was the big batch like?
Yeah, well, the small batch comes out. It's weird. The small batch, for some reason, even though it's the same ratios and it takes the same amount of time to drip through for the amount of liquid, it just comes out richer and darker. We have no idea why. It's just how it works. So that gets mixed with the big batch, which is not as rich and it's not as dark, but it brings the richness and darkness up to this awesome level, which is just right. Yeah.
Yeah, right. That's awesome. I was listening to something the other day. It's a bit of a tangent about, the wine back in the Egyptian days apparently was, there's all this talk of like, wine, if you had a bottle of wine that was 400 years old, it was blah, blah, and fantastic. It's like, apparently it was full of like amphetamines and all sorts of crazy mushroom juice. It's like, of course the wine was good. It was just a medium to put the amphetamines in. For your small batches, your amphetamines, the big batches, this just gets it in your mouth. Yeah. Do you think it's something you could really get into? Like, does it keep you? I mean, this is a puzzle for Mike, right? It's like fine tuning and getting it right and finding how many turns to the left and one to the right do I need to get. And have you had any losses? Like, have you walked in one Wednesday and gone, this just tastes like mud, I can't work with it?
In the early days, overflowing was a bit of an issue.
Overflowing.
So
Too much water or something.
If you have the dripper running too fast, it'll hit the beans and it won't soak through. The beans will start expanding and they'll just overflow this muddy mess of beans onto everything, including into the
batch.
It's like a beaker. The bottle at the bottom catching the drip soaks into there. It's all good. But I mean, back then I wasn't selling commercially, so it wasn't such a huge issue. It was just me learning how to use this crazy equipment there.
Yeah. Have you is it something that you're kind of just doing for yourself, or have you poked around to other people that do it? And like, have you been to like a pro joint that punches out by the liter every 6 minutes or anything like that? Or
yeah, well, I've been to a few cafes that are selling cold drip and tried it to give it a shot, and it
was awful.
They often come across watery. So
right.
I mean, it does take a while to learn how to use a cold drip setup to make the whatever comes out the bottom rich, dark, caffeine filled, coffee flavored, not bitter, not watery. To get to that process, it's just ages of learning. I mean, to have someone in the cafe say, okay, buddy, you're the cold drip guy. He'd have to be in there for ages learning this process. Yeah, it's probably on his own, like me, from Google. Like, oh, Google, what do I do, mate? And like Google's like, oh, you just try a certain grind size, not quite espresso, not quite filter. It's somewhere around there. Get the drip for a second or a second and a half or 2 seconds or half a second, and the trial and error. So I mean, cafes, you'd have to have someone like me who is doing it all the time to get that. I don't sound like an idiot. I sound like a fool myself now.
No. I mean, you're right. I mean, you can only ever appreciate how hard something is when you've actually given it a crack yourself.
It's the months and years.
It's the problem with Google and YouTube these days, is it gives us all these false senses of we can achieve this and we can achieve that, and then unfortunately, I think a lot of us give something a go, and then we fail miserably because it's bloody hard work. And then we're like, oh, well, that's really hard and difficult. And that person made it look so easy. And now I can't do it. I'm going to give up.
And that person's been doing it for 10 years. That's it. They've been skateboarding since they were a kid. They've been surfing since they were a kid.
Yeah, I mean,
they've been mountain biking, doing backflips since they were a kid.
I mean,
this backflip.
The one thing I'd like to be able to do on a mountain bike, I think I'm an okay rider. I'll throw a full face on, run some enduros. I've done a bunch of downhill, and I won't punch big gaps. But if it's a race run and I need to be through there at a certain speed, it'll just happen. The one thing I'd like to be able to do in my everyday mountain biking is manual. So on the back wheel, not pedaling. Now, I just don't have the balls. I don't have the courage. I don't have the skills. I'm on a 29er. My bike's pretty long and slack. It's a good trail rig, but I really have to put some work in and get someone to just. I also run cleats, so I need to throw the flats on, get down the park, and just fall on my ass a few times. And you look at dudes that, it's like these days, there's this thing called the lanyal, where you jump, land on your back wheel on the other side of the kicker, and then just keep going. That's the lanyal. It's the new term.
Oh my God.
But you look at these people, and they've been, like you said, riding bikes since they were 6 years old. They ride downhill, they ride dirt, they ride moto, they ride everything. They're not like this. These guys that do these vlogs, they're not like this because they watched a YouTube video 6 months ago and gave it a go. And we're really losing, I think. And there's a bit of old man in me right now because I get frustrated when I see people who are clearly younger than me, which is almost everybody I hang around with. I have very few friends my age because I mountain bike and I play video games and I like Star Wars and all those other things that most 49 to 50 something year olds aren't that interested in. So I'm always with younger people and they're always like, oh, I tried to do this. No, that's shit. It's like, it's not shit, mate. It's really bloody hard. And the reason why you think that dude's rad and he pulls all the chicks is because he's been doing it for like 20 goddamn years.
And that guy has 3 videos on YouTube that everyone sees of him doing it perfectly every time.
And
not
not
that exact trick, like.
And not to mention that if he's some sort of, let's take mountain biking as a professional athlete, not only that, he's broken about 60% of the bones in his body along the way. It's hard, man. So
skateboarders' ankles and knees, shoulders, Johnny, foot, wrists.
Johnny does dumb shit on his skateboard. He's not a young kid. I've seen him like fall off some shit on his Instagram. I think he ends up breaking legs and stuff. And it's like, what were you thinking, man? Like, I love it when you're a kid playing games, but you got to grow up, man, because it's going to ruin your life, at that age. Get a hand to him. So, like, I guess coming back around, like when I see someone like yourself that's got the patience to work out the puzzle, and I think the motivation is, I'm trying to cover some costs. Would I like to do this for a living? Shit, yeah. But in the meantime, this is just keeping me alive. This is my art. This is what I enjoy.
And actually, I love doing it, even though it's work. Like, I can just get in there, earphones in, get it set up, listen to a podcast, listen to some music. Back in the drum and bass playlist, back in the the grunge playlist, the new metal playlist, whatever it is, and just really have this time to turn my mind off now. Now that I know the process and stuff, it's like switching my mind off and just smelling coffee the whole time. And
how long does it take you to prep a drip?
So the 3 litre one takes around about just over an hour to set up and get running. Right.
And then what's the drip period?
About 30 hours for that 3 litre one.
30
hours. 24 if I get to monitor the drip like spot on, like a few times, but like it's generally like a day and a half.
So you have to time this, like say for example, let's say you've got to put it on Wednesday sometime, and then sometime Thursday, like after work, you've got to go there. So do you have to kind of like kick it off? Say you after work, you get there at 5:30 p.m. Do you have to kick it off like pretty much 30 hours before that point?
Yeah.
Wow, that's a challenge.
Get it going and get it dripping steady so the drip stays constant and the drip's coming out the bottom constant, and make sure there's nothing that's going to look like it's going to overflow or going to stop dripping. So you
sort of set it up and then sit around and monitor it for whatever 20 minutes and go, we're good to go. All right. So you guys in it down a bit. Do you like on that say Thursday Arvo, you're like sitting at work because you're in kind of like IT and stuff or something like that, server maintenance, whatever. Are you sort of sitting there looking at the clock going, oh, in a minute, I'm getting out of here. I'm going to check a fresh batch.
That's it,
frothing for it. Is that how you feel?
It's just, I don't look forward to the cleanup afterwards, but just getting there and having this big load of cold drip and then pouring into the bigger bottle, the storage bottle, and
stick your face in it and you go, blessed by Mike.
Oh man, I'd be off my face on caffeine if I
really.
I'm super sensitive to caffeine.
Funnily enough.
Like a regular coffee takes me like at least 6 hours to get through, and I'll have it in 2 sittings.
This is becoming more like Breaking Bad every moment because it's like I'm imagining you with a respirator on now so that you don't even breathe in the beans or anything like that.
Oh shit!
Every time I do a drip prep, I'm actually awake for 30 hours. The only thing I can compare it to is 3D printing because I love the feeling of. I do zero work. I just recently upgraded to a machine. I've had a machine that's like 5 years old. It's like a dirty old tractor with no roof, and you got to grind the gears and stuff like that. And this thing now has got a cabin, and it's got a tape player, and it's got aircon, and it's like power steering, and it's like, let's just go plow a paddock. So it's quiet and it's reliable and stuff. But the best I can do is get a model. I've designed a few things myself, all those brackets for hanging my controllers and a few things for cartridges. And I've given you guys stuff stands for Game Boys and things like that. But generally I take a design that either myself or someone else has done. I stick it in a card. I put it in the robot and I hook up a roll of plastic spaghetti to the robot and I go, go. And I know when I first got it, my daughter and I would sit there and we're like, what are we going to print first? Let's print a unicorn. Okay. And we sat there for like 2.5 hours and watched this thing. Yeah. It become all of a sudden there's a unicorn there. I was like, how cool is that? And it's just, man, it's bonkers. It's compared to my brother and I running around the paddock with sticks to play Star Wars. Like, golly, it's the closest I come to making. And it's fine. I appreciate people that can make music, food, art, any of that sort of stuff. Totally jealous. I'm really lazy and I'm not very creative, unfortunately. But good on you for being neither of those.
Oh man, it's it's born out of frustration with the espresso machine. I was like, I'm never touching one again. So got the little cold drip set up, and I just keep. I don't know why I didn't stop doing it. I just kept trialing and trialing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, that's weird.
Do you have like a smaller version at home? It just does like, I don't know, a cup's worth in 4 hours, so you can sort of trial other beans or other processes or recipes that will translate into the big guy?
No, I just have the small one at home as well, and just run that.
Right.
Yeah. And that's a coffee for home.
Right. And you don't get sick of your own stuff?
No.
It sounds so nasty.
It's just like coffee.
I don't get sick of my own stuff. I love my own stuff.
Yeah, it's good. I enjoy it every time I have a coffee. I enjoy it.
Yeah. Good on you. Coffee and gaming, like they kind of go hand in hand. If you ever do want to do that, Gallagher 20 million.
Oh my God.
I know we can get some good stuff that'll keep you awake for 30 hours.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Another thing I want to talk to you about is you've got a bit of a shoe fetish, Mike.
A little bit.
You've got some Air Maxes and things like that. I saw a picture the other day. I was like, what is he doing? What is he on? This pair of Air Maxes.
The dirty ones.
Dirty ones covered in muddy grass and shit because you were down the river checking out the floods. What's the deal, bro? You just got a pair of Air Maxes for just mowing the lawn?
Well, I was looking for a pair of sneakers. They're going to be mostly waterproof. So when I walk the dog in the morning, I usually walk her down by a Kedron
They make
Brook.
them now, you know. You could just buy them like Gore-Tex and stuff.
Oh, yeah, but I want them like comfy ones because it's hot weather too. I don't want these big hiking boots that are going to be fully water welly boots. It's like a 30-degree morning, but the grass is soaked with dew because it's Brisbane.
Yeah.
So I wanted something that's going to keep my socks dry on a morning walk with the dog.
Yeah.
And then be good for walking in. And so I was looking around for all these sneakers, just like a lightweight sort of sneaker. And I found some crazy Reebok ones, which look like Back to the Future ones with these weird purples and blues and stuff all through this plastic outer casing, which was like proper plastic. So that's cool. Couldn't find a pair of those in my size. And then one of the last shops I went to was, what was it? Foot Locker in the city. I was like, oh, cool. These Air Max are pretty plasticky, and they just happen to be on sale. And they're almost like a plasticky pleather, every panel.
Right.
So almost
like no vents, not many vents and things.
No.
Yeah.
And so the vents on top are literally plastic over the toe with a few little holes in.
Mm-hmm.
So I bought them for like $80 or something.
Right.
Real good deal.
Right.
I've got them home, sprayed it with the protector, the waterproofing protector, and they've been some great off-roading shoes ever since, and they are muddy as hell now.
Well, that seems okay, because at first there I thought that these were a pair of like classic 90s. You were just taking the original Ferrari or Lamborghini Countach just out in the lawn for a bit of round work. Right.
There'd definitely be some like hardcore sneakerheads that'd be like, this guy's doing the wrong thing.
Even with these shoes.
Yeah. They're like a Chicago Bulls
not
special release. They're like $80. I don't know. Probably people weren't buying them because they look ugly or I don't know. I love the way they look, but yeah. I mean, for me, they're a waterproofish pair of shoes for walking the dog in. Perfect.
Awesome.
But yeah.
All right. Well, look, we might. It's been such a good chat. I could talk to you about a whole bunch of stuff. What I'll take from this is everybody now knows that I beat you in a fighting game. That's what's really important. And we will never fight again.
That's it. Yeah.
I'm actually at the moment playing through. I've just started like 2 days ago. PS4 Ghost of Tsushima.
Oh, I've heard about that.
Like I've got this thing about samurais at the moment because I started watching this series on Netflix about Age of Samurai. It's like the 1500s. There was this big someone died, and all of a sudden all the warlords were like, "Oh shit, here's a chance for me to be the big boss." And it kind of just goes through this guy starts knocking people off, and then he takes over a bunch, and then the other dude comes in, then he kills him, and then his cousin revenges and stuff. I was like, this is cool as. I was recently, like up to last month, I had the PS Plus. My daughter and I played Minecraft, PS4 versus PC. Got a PS Plus to play, and then I just thought I'd just put on my laptop and play it like that anyway. And it was like last month, I was like, no, Ghost of Tsushima was the game, one of the games. I was like, never gonna play that. It was like 2 days later, I'm like, go get it, and it's gone. So I had to just buy it. But they do have a downloaded version, but it's the director's cut. It's like $110. I was like, that's bonkers. So I managed to get it from like Target hard copy for like $50-something. And I'm playing it now, and it's such a cool story. And I'm playing it in just one off easy, because I think if you beat a game on easy, you still beat the game and you enjoy the experience. I'm playing it so they're speaking Japanese with subtitles, so it's like it's like watching this samurai film, because it's got beautiful cutscenes. And I mean, I don't have a PS5 or a 75-inch Bravia, so I'm not spoiled or whatever. Or you don't have the PS5, but you have a ruddy great TV. So for me, I'm playing it now. I've moved all my stuff with a HDMI switcher and stuff into my game room on my kind of like 20-something inch monitor. So I'm real close, headphones and stuff, but it's like watching a samurai film, and you kind of get to interact and be part of the process. And it's that real typical kind of Japanese tale where there's just so much honor. I don't mean to offend any Japanese people that are listening, but this is how, as a Western Aussie kid, there's always this honor and sort of sadness, and there's a loss, but it's how it works. It's how it goes. And once you've made these commitments, that's your commitment for life. And if you turn and you say to someone, I'll be back, I just need to do this, and then we'll go and take that castle together, you're doing it. And it comes through in this story. And it's just, I find it a really heart-wrenching story, because there's a lot of the Mongols invade this island just off Japan. And I must be, I don't know, I don't even know the period. I'm not a historian. And it's kind of like, now you got to try and push them back. But it's just this one or two characters kind of getting together. Fantastic game.
Excellent. What else are you playing lately?
I've been playing this game called Curse of the Dead Gods, also on PS4, which it's kind of like a Diablo type dungeon crawler, like, kind of what's that view where you're like 3/4 and ISO something, whatever. And
isometry,
yeah, something like that. And you kind of like, you can go and collect weapons, and it's got this thing where you can kind of run a level for like 20 minutes and go, oh, I'm going to need to do that, different branching paths, things like that. Double Dragon on the Famicom, been given a good nudge.
Cool.
Bit of Xbox when the Halo series came out, started playing the original Halo, and that blows me away. Like, having the CRT, I can play Double Dragon on the Famicom all the way. When I first got the Xbox, for whatever reason, I assumed the original Xbox was HDMI.
Yeah.
And I was very wrong. And I plugged it into my CRT, and I'm walking around, there's like lens flare and all this stuff. And I was like, I can't believe on the same technology. Sure, when they made the Famicom, the CRT technology was very different to when this 29-inch Trinitron flat screen came out and the Xbox, but it's still very similar.
Yeah.
And to go from that Famicom to the Xbox, I was just like, this is crazy. I love being spoiled where I can just listen to a podcast. You can tell me a game. I've got EverDrives. I've literally got access to everything, and I can just kind of go get it, stick it on an EverDrive, or stick it on an ODE or something, and just experience it. Because for me, gaming is 90% experience. Like you and I were playing when I was over last with the Saturn, and we played that side scrolling shooter with like all the characters. I can't remember the name of it, but it's like,
was it called Flink?
No, it wasn't called Flink. No. It's a Japanese name. It was freaking fantastic. And they're like, they're throwing things and shooting things, and it's got that whole kind of like monkey magic-y kind of.
Sengoku Tengai Sengoku Blade.
Sure, no worries. Yeah. And I played a few times on my own. I was like, this is monstrously difficult, and we just like punched the credits and got through it. And it was like such a good experience. Those little like chats in like, it's like so serious. I'm like, I wish I knew what they were saying. So good. I'm just doing that, just playing bits and pieces. Stuff. Like I said, I've moved the VR in here, so Last night I was playing a bit of Star Wars, like chasing TIE fighters around and feeling really sick and being terrible at it. I just got, and then like the way I've got it set up here is I've got the camera really close to me and calibrated, so I can sit real close on my couch. My TV was so far away that the camera set up on top of the TV, and if you lean back, it starts to black out. It's like, I can't see the camera doesn't have the range. So now I'm really close. I can lean back and I'm in a swivel chair so I can turn around and see my R2 unit at the back window of the X-Wing and things like that. I'm literally just flying around, just dodging bits of steel and just going, this is what it's like to be an X-Wing pilot, man. This is pretty bloody cool. And, I've got one of the, what's it called? The big jet fighter sim, something combat. It's got a bunch of VR missions. The other day we went and saw the latest Top Gun, went and saw Maverick, and I cried a lot. Cool. I cried heaps. Have you seen it?
No.
Well, I mean, when the first Top Gun came out, I was like an Air Force cadet, and I was watching it. I was like, that's me. Might as well put my name up there. That's my. It never turned out that way, but I've always had a bit of a love for it. It's just one of those of my era, and just the way it starts and the way it goes and the way it works and everything about it. It wasn't like the new Star Wars where I was like, cool. But when this played, I was just like, oh my God, I'm just 14 again. And I cried so much, but that's me. I'm the biggest. It was like me and my daughter and my wife were all like the three of us in the dark going, just crying. Some of it's joyful tears. Not all of it's sad. Not all of it's like,
cool.
It's a good film. Tom Cruise, I mean, he's a weird cat, but I don't know. He doesn't do much wrong on the screen, I reckon.
That's great movies,
Yeah. And that's about me, mate. There's always so much. And then I have a chat with someone like you, like I do this once a month. Which always something I'm like, got to check that out. And then that'll consume me for like almost everything I do about half of the game, and then I'm like, all right, I got to move on. Can't play like you said. Neil just plays a game for a year. I would be. That's mental asylum material for me.
I couldn't. Yeah. I just want to experience as much as I can, much variation. Yeah. Even though I go back to PS1 and play certain games, I just love doing that. But like, I still want to experience new stuff and get to new parts of games I've never been before.
Yeah. What's your most common? I'm going to go play that. Like your kind of comfort food. What's the game? Or 2 or 3 games.
Worms World Party on PS1.
Right.
Colin McRae on PS1.
Right.
Yoshi's Island on Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
That is just so
beautiful,
nice and relaxing, and sometimes frustrating, but still fun to play.
I wouldn't agree on relaxing, but it is very beautiful.
Raiden Project on PS1, which is this Raiden arcade game, because I got the arcade stick, which just makes it just fun, perfect arcade. Because it's
is that like a PlayStation arcade stick?
It is a PS2 arcade stick, which works on PS1. Yeah,
right, and it's good. It's all switches and stuff. It's not just
awesome,
like what's the SNES one isn't really a stick. It's just a big D-pad with a huge handle on it.
Well, man, when I was inside that thing, I blew my mind. Just a D-pad thing, but just bigger. Joystick pads, 4 points touching.
Wow.
But yeah, so it's from Sanwa parts. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, wicked.
And that works perfect for any arcade style games. But they had like. They're the main ones I'll come back to. I will get into a bit of Super Mario 3 every now and then. Mm-hmm. Maybe some Rock and Roll Racing and some Mortal Kombat 2 occasionally on the 16 bits.
Right.
But yeah, they're the big ones that I'll come back. And Karushi on PS1, or it's IQ as it's called in the other territories.
Right.
It's a puzzle game which is super addictive. Yeah.
Right. Puzzle games are interesting in that it's just a different process. You're not shooting and not punching. Yeah. That one you and I were playing, can you remember the name of that?
The Lemmings style one?
Yeah, sort of like so cool. Lemmings, half Tetris.
Yeah, that was such a good idea for a game.
Yeah. I mean, you kind of get it. You're like, oh, there it is. Yeah. You'll have to give that another crack. No worries. All right. Well, look, we might, I can't wrap it up there, but I'm going to give you an opportunity to do some shout outs and stuff. I always do a shout out, and I'll start with mine and let you rip. Look, one of my favorite people on the internet is Scruffy Looking RGB. Now I first saw his stuff on YouTube. A lot of kind of wandering. Lives in Tokyo, as far as I know, still there at the moment. A American guy. I had Kid Shuriken a little while back, and they do a bit of stuff together. So there's nothing cooler than watching someone kind of wandering around Tokyo / paradise, just shopping and just looking at things. And like, I've sort of started dabbling in Famicom carts, so I've got a hook up, and every now and then he helps me out and throws a few things in his basket for me.
Awesome.
So I just got a little wall of Famicom carts starting, but just watch him just wander around and chat, and this is okay, and that's okay, and that. But he does a lot of other stuff as well. So he's got Instagram. His Instagram. The reason I first followed him was Scruffy Looking should be Scruffy Looking Nerf Herder, which is what Leia says to Han.
Oh yeah.
He's like, who's Scruffy? So he has a bit of like within his Instagram and stuff. There's a bit of R2D2 floating around. So it's clearly I think you and I would get along. So yeah, look, I'll put the notes in the show notes there. Scruffy Looking Nerf, Scruffy Looking RGB, and there's a bit for everybody. It's just another, as I say, it's always something I put in. I like to have it in my feed, so that as I go through my Instagram, I just see things that make me happy, and
that's it.
I try not to spend money, but I can't blame it myself if I do. So yeah, look, buddy, I'm gonna now hand the mic to you, and like I've mentioned Sean and Dennis and Neil. I'll put theirs. Neil's not very Instagrammy. He's too busy playing the same game every bloody day. But Dennis is more, some more arcade stuff, and Sean, obviously one of your co-hosts there. Sean's got his own, and I'll put in Played Up Podcast. We've already mentioned sort of Netherworld. If you want to say some more, but I'll definitely put their info in there, and One Up as well. I know you have those guys. So yeah, just rattle off a bunch of stuff that people and places that you really want to sort of kick the can for.
Yeah, no worries. All right. Heading over to Perth, Western Australia, there's the Nostalgia Box, which is a console museum. It's absolutely awesome. There's Player One Arcade over there too, which is a great little arcade that this guy who runs a music school, and then his side business is his own personal arcade attached to that.
Oh, sick.
Which is great. So that's open for free play events, and you can rent the place out,
right?
Hire it for functions and stuff. Heading down to Hobart, the Replay Bar. They're a great place. Yep.
Are you from Hobart, or you're not from Hobart? Are you? What? Because I grew up in Hobart. What takes you to Hobart?
Just knowing there's a barcade there.
Fair enough.
Following them on Instagram a little while back, and
it's a long way to go just to put a Gallagher score up, mate.
Although I did do that, the Nostalgia Box, when I was there, because they've always got a Gallagher machine running.
Right.
So I boosted the PB that was on there from someone from 300 up to 500, and then around out of time 500,000. Around out of time, I was like,
hand him $100 and say, don't turn that off for a week.
No, they keep a card on the machine for the top 3 scores.
Is yours still there?
I'm not sure. I haven't been there. I was 2 weeks ago. I was in Perth.
Right. Okay.
What else we got? Yeah. So Flipped as well, up in Toowoomba in Brisbane.
Oh yeah.
That's a great little barcade. Great bunch of people that run it, and a lot of good times there.
Yep.
Heading up to Empire Arcade in Townsville. Empire Alternacade. That's a great place.
Right.
What else have we got? And then obviously in Brisbane, One Up Arcade, Pinball House, another great one.
Right. Yeah.
Pinball HAUS.
Yep.
Amazing place run by Babak and his wife, and their machines. Their pinball machines are like perfection,
tuned,
like restored.
Right.
Just pristine, amazing things to play on.
Right.
And obviously, Netherworld. We always talk about Netherworld, One Up Arcade.
Yep. Obviously, things like BPAC is a big deal in your life. I mean, tell us some Netherworld and BPAC. It's kind of go hand in hand. I think that's kind of where it all sort of started. But BPAC's a pretty big deal, for this community.
It's massive. It's massive. It brings the Australian classic gaming, classic arcade gaming, and and pinball gaming communities to one massive competition event that runs from the 15th of July through to the 24th.
Yeah.
Just going to double check that. I'm pretty sure that is the dates.
I mean, Netherworld really has the recipe. I know I've done a couple of the Ultimate Denizens there, not because I've got a hope in hell of being even a blip on the scorecard, but, you know, you rock up, there's 20 odd games that they've picked, you know, and everything from freaking House of the Dead with a light gun, and you'll play a random person with Mortal Kombat and a bit of Bubble, and there'll be like, at the first year I went, there was Beat Saber on the PS4, and and the reason why I bought VR for my PS4 was because of that game that time. What was it? The last one of the games was Master System California Games, just the BMX.
Oh yeah.
And there was just so much stuff, and you're like, I would never have touched this game. And just to see, it's such a level playing field, because just to see, like, I know like at least half a dozen people in the room amongst the 30 to 50 competitors at just that Denizen, which is not related to BPAC, but a similar feel that everybody's there for fun. But if they were running side by side, people are kind of dropping elbows and trying to work out what's going on here and what's going on there, and how do you do that? And just, bloody cool.
So BPAC is a massive competition that's open to the public. Anyone can buy tickets to come and compete in the arcade or the pinball competitions. There's competitions every day from the 15th right the way through to the 24th. They just recently opened tickets for the final Party Frenzy, which is on the night of the 24th, and that is a wild party.
Does that involve like a bubble machine and you're like shampoo bubbles?
There's going to be smoke machines, probably. There's some lighting shows. It's just like a nightclub disco. It's all happening.
Back a Brewdog?
Yeah, all at Brewdog this year too. So, so you can check it out on bnepack.org. You can hit the Instagram as well, which is just bnepack on Instagram and Facebook. It's an amazing event. If you're even interested in gaming in the slightest, or pinballs in the slightest, anyone's welcome to come along, have a look, check it out. There'll be free play sessions for the public to come in and play if they haven't bought a ticket for competitions. So the public can just walk in and check these games out, watch the competitions, play the games, play the pinballs, the arcades. Check it out. Buy some cool merch from the merch table. There's always a whole bunch of cool shirts. There'll be some coffee. I'll be stocking there too, which is
a bit of dark matter to get you going. If you want to play a game for 30 hours.
That's it.
Just scull half a liter of this stuff. I know, like the first one I went to, 2019, Billy Mitchell was there, and you know, regardless of what you think of him, to be in the same room, it's a bit like being in the same room as one of the wrestlers that wasn't as popular as Hulk Hogan. It was maybe a bit of a villain. Regardless, you're around someone who's part of the history, and I bought a bunch of his. It just felt like, and Walter was there, and I mean, Walter was kind of pretty out there. It's like getting old and stuff, and they were kind of looking after him and that sort of stuff. But I bought a bunch of Billy's hot sauce and a bunch of shirts and stuff. I was like, I just got to grab this stuff while I've got the opportunity. I got the Donkey Kong Christmas ornament,
cool,
super expensive ones. Go and sign that. He actually, we talked before, I was thinking about when you were talking about parking your ship in Gallagher, and he was playing Pac-Man. And I was there like 2 PM. He was just standing there having a game, trying to do his thing. I sort of standing there, and I let his mind to let him know I'd like to, have a chat with him when he's got time, blah, blah, blah. And he kind of looked at me, and then he just played his game. And the next thing, he just parks the Pac-Man, turns around and so looks at me. He's a really massive dude. Like,
he is big, he's very tall.
For someone that can play with video games, he's got these huge hands, and he reached out with this massive hand and chatted with me and signed my stuff. And it's like, all right, no worries. And got back and unparked his Pac-Man and moved on. You've got to be in those spaces to be around people that are good at what they do. And sometimes I know there's a few people I know that didn't even know this sort of stuff existed. And you just, in your area, wherever you are, whatever you do, and the world's opening back up again, have a look around. There's stuff going on that's just insanely awesome and fun, and you'll find your people. And that's what I think Netherworld does. It just creates this, places like Netherworld create these spaces for you.
And communities.
The communities, that's right. We've got enough. Don't get me wrong, I'm all for sports and what it does for a society, but we've got enough football clubs. We've got enough, I don't know, football clubs. Sort of, we've got enough cricket clubs. There's people that need more than just whacking a ball around. Sorry, I totally overtook that. Feel free to plug anybody else or anything else. Or
no worries. A couple of favorite.
You don't have an Insta for your coffee. That's just kind of on you, isn't it?
Oh no, yeah, we do. Yeah.
Oh,
so it's Subculture Cafe AUS on Instagram and Facebook.
Okay.
We'll be changing the name on the actual images to Subculture Cold Drip very soon, because we're not a cafe, we're just selling cold drip. So it'll still be under Subculture Cafe to search for us, but we'll be called Subculture Cold Drip in the next few weeks, months as we transition the.
Yeah. And anybody in Australia could purchase coffee from you.
Yeah.
Have you done the international deliveries?
No. At the moment, I'll have to sell a lot to make it worth it for the person on the other side.
Right. Yeah. Shipping
would have to be a good few liters. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
I looked at shipping 1 liters to the UK. It was already at $60 shipping.
Wow. Before you bought it.
Yeah. So not quite.
Yeah. Pretty sure they've got cold drip over there. They could get cheap. Yeah, go on.
A bit of YouTube. I love a couple of YouTubers as well. RMC The Cave, which used to be called the Retro Man Cave. A guy called Neil runs that channel. He's built his own video game museum in the past year or so.
Nice.
Year or two. Yeah. He renovated the upper levels of an old mill in England somewhere, and definitely the My Liking Gaming guys as well. Which are great. Yeah, MLIG. They do a lot of good stuff. ETA Prime is great to watch. Yeah. He picks up a lot of the new Chinese-made handhelds and stuff. Yeah,
I appreciate his honesty, and his just one of those guys that's out there and just, I don't know how these dudes get hold of all this stuff. They must have boxes of gear that they kind of either bought or they've got to get rid of it somehow. They must have some amazing garage sales. Yeah, love it. I learned most of my pie stuff off him when I was first kicking into it. He just has a really good way of sort of saying, you could do this, you could do that, and you could get someone else's script, but you won't know what happens when it breaks. So here's how to set this up and be familiar the most simple and easy way. And I mean, I had a bunch of Bluetooth and I was trying to, all those 8-bitos, trying to get him to be controller for certain systems and stuff. And his stuff is great. But a lot of it's that kind of like now what they call that new thing that's come out, the Steam Deck. Like it's, this every week there's a new RG740B. And he's just, he'll tell you what to spend your money on, I think, and know you trust him.
Yeah. And speaking of that hobbyist side of games, Nostalgia is a great one.
Right.
Watching their YouTube videos and their how-tos and their online support helped me modify my PS1 Classic Mini, which got me thousands of C64 games back into them. Super NES games, a whole bunch more new different PS1 games I haven't seen before. The whole retro arch outfit fits onto your PS1 Mini Classic, and it just becomes an amazing place to game out of. Yeah,
considering it was pretty shit when they put it out, so you might as well do something with it.
Yeah, they missed the mark on a lot of the games they put on there.
They did. I think I saw today something about a Mega Drive 2 Mini coming out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which is kind of cool. It was the first one. I think the Mega Drive 1 with the Tower of Power and all the bits and pieces and stuff. Yeah. All right, cool. Yeah. Any more? You can shoot me later anyway if there's anybody else that I mean, love you all. You're all fantastic.
Yeah.
But if you think of anybody later, just shoot me a message and we'll add it on. I've got a few days to kind of sort this out.
The other hobby, which isn't it's a background hobby at the moment, which is my car. So
the Rexy.
The Rexy, the WRX. Yeah. So Mighty Car Mods is probably one of my favorite YouTube channels as well. They are great fun to watch, and they just do a lot of good stuff with
that dude. Is it Turbo Yoda?
Oh yeah.
He actually, so around 12 years ago, I had a Forester, a 2000 Forester, which I lifted, put a bull bar on, a rear bar, snorkel. It originally had the stock 2-liter. I took it to him, and he changed it to manual, and he put a 3-liter imported, like
from an Outback.
But it was like a Japanese imported one, custom exhaust and stuff.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
It was freaking. I didn't even know who the dude was. I was just Googling around trying to find someone who would put the Outback motor in it, and he couldn't get an Outback, and he was in Japan, and he's like, "Oh, I have a container coming over. I can get you one of these." It was like a variable valve thingy bob, and it came back sound like a rally car, but much smoother and sweeter. And a buddy of mine at the time had a BMW, and he's like, "Where are you getting your car done?" I'm like, "This dude," and he goes, "Are you serious?" He goes, "Do you know who Turbo Yoda is and car mods?" I'm like, "No." And he goes, "This is like having fucking Luke Skywalker working on your car. This dude is the dude." And he did it for a really good price and stuff. I mean, I moved the car on eventually, but yeah, it was pretty bad. I pushed it out. When he pushed it out, and he's like, "I'm really happy with this car, man. I really enjoyed doing this," because he'd done one. It didn't go so great. He's like, I've got it. I can make this work. Mighty Car Mods, mad people.
Great channel.
Just when you think buying a console and putting a mode in it is expensive, nah. Someone's doing things more expensive than you.
Yeah.
All right, mate. Well, thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate it. Saturday Arvo or Saturday evening now, and we can chill and take it easy and let you go and check.
Thanks for having me on. Thanks for that.
Well, I had Sean and Dennis and Neil, and it occurred to me that I was like, man, Mike's like the most interesting dude out of all of them. Why haven't I had him on yet?
Right.
Don't tell him I said that. They're all lovely.
It's because I'm mountain bike, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the mountain biking. That's right. Get out and pedal, you lazy bums. At this point in time, Sean's still in Europe, and he'll be back soon. So it'll be nice to try and catch up with him. And I'll have to bring him over.
Back here.
I'll have to bring him over and show him what he did, because in reality, this is all Sean's fault. Because he gave me that CRT. Like, I was kind of happy with my Pi into an LCD with shades and filters, and he gave me that CRT.
Yeah.
And that was just pulling that little bit of like the damn wall, just chipping away at the rock a bit, and that just opened the gates, and it's good. So I do appreciate it. I do have to buy that man at least one more Henry's or something. Get him over and show him what he did. Nasty.
Your room is pretty awesome there. I love it.
I'll have to. I think the girls are heading away soon. I'll have to get you over, and it's just a bit small. Yeah, get you in and get you flying some TIE fighters, dude. This is blows you away as you move around. The light kind of in the game, kind of coming through the window, because they're paneled, And as you move around, you look around, the light kind of shadows across the inside of the cockpit, and he's got the glove there, and you're like, that. Those scenes when the TIE fighter's chasing and they look back at the pilot and he's so badass, the big helmet, and you can't see any expression, and his hands just moving, and he's like beep beep beep, selecting buttons and stuff, and you look down at your hands inside the cockpit and you're like, now I'm one of those badasses. So good. All right, mate. Well, thanks so much for your time. We'll get together soon for some gaming and some riding, and
for sure have
a sniff of your crazy coffee, and you take it.
I got to get out on those trails with you. It's been too long.
I'm here all the time, and it's good now. It's not bloody hot. You'd have very few excuses to not come out for a spin. Heading out tomorrow at about 7-ish. So if you want to be up and at it, you can be here.
Tomorrow morning. I will check. I think we might have something on. I'll double check. If not,
if I don't hear from you, then you're a lazy bastard.
That's it. Wait till you see my bike. Oh, it's a mess.
Well, it sounds like it needs a good riding. That's
Cheers.
All right, buddy.
Thanks,
take it easy, eh?
You too. Gotcha.
Bye.